thought. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me on this live webinar on how to detox and lose weight in the new year. I know many of us are setting new year goals, and one of those is to lose a few pounds or maybe more than a few pounds. And that's because in the wintertime, our body generally starts to accumulate more weight, even from the late fall. We can see animals are like this. If you go see the deer outside, they're very thin in the spring and the summer, and then they're starting eating all they can in the fall and try to put on weight. And I have a horse living outside, and to keep him through the healthy during the winter, where it becomes below freezing, I actually have to give him a lot more oil, a lot more fat, a lot more. I mean, I was giving him like quarter cup of oil with his food, and I switch his food from a grass like coastal. It's called a type of grass. It's very light, and like all grasses are cooling to the body. I give him that all summer to keep him cool. But in the wintertime, I start giving him alfalfa. Alfalfa is much heavier, like the bale of alfalfa is much heavier, and it's warmer, and it's more of a weight gaining food for the horse. So I've been giving him alfalfa now almost solely for the last couple weeks with the goal of putting weight on him. That's right. Even if you look at the chipmunks, or squirrels, I should say squirrels. East Coast, you got chipmunks. Here we have more squirrels. And the squirrels are all saving up and eating all they can, storing nuts and eating all the nuts they can to put on weight for the winter so they can stay warm outside. Same with my cats. All the animals have gained weight in the winter. So my point is that it's natural for the body to gain weight and hold on to weight during the winter. So in fact, it's not a good time to even think of losing weight in the winter. So if you're really overweight, you're more than 50 pounds over the weight, okay, you should, shouldn't be snacking, shouldn't be having cookies, candy, cake, all that. You just not only gain weight, you're just going to become diabetic. That's the fast track to diabetes: sugar, cookies, soda pop. You do it long enough, you will become insulin resistant. So you shouldn't do all those bad habits. Shouldn't even be snacking on nuts all day. That's fattening. There's a lot of fattening habits or weight gaining habits that you shouldn't be doing all year round, even in the wintertime. Um, but you really shouldn't be trying to lose a couple pounds in the wintertime. You're going uphill. The body's holding on to the body fat because that's its natural tendency. The time that you should be thinking of losing weight is in the spring. The spring is the natural time. The new vegetation comes out, and then the deer are eating even the roots. Even they'll eat dandelion roots, which is very detoxing for their liver in the early spring. And then there's all little sprouts coming out on the trees, and the deer and the animals will eat those, and those like clean them out, and they don't gain as much weight from it. And even the carnivorous animals will catch and eat more meat in the fall and the winter, and in the spring, like a fox, or they'll have more berries and other vegetables in the spring, and they will also lose weight because they don't need that extra weight in the summer. And just due to nature being the animals being in harmonious, being in tune with nature, they're gaining weight in the wintertime and then losing weight in the spring. And of course, we've lost touch with nature in most cases. And we're trying to do things even against nature. So I wouldn't even spend any time trying to lose weight during the new year. I'd hate to tell you. You better next year just try not to gain extra weight during Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's really the cause. And that's why people are so frustrated in January, because, they overate from Thanksgiving to Christmas, too much cheesecake and pumpkin pie and turkey, etc., and ice cream, etc. And now they want to lose it in January, but it's not a good time to lose it. So the better choice is don't eat all that fattening junk sweet food in the fall, and just eat healthy, and you probably wouldn't have gained much weight anyway. And wait until the spring, and you're going to see in the spring I'll be doing webinars and offering detox packages, spring detox. I'll be really pushing it in the spring. I have articles that I put out every spring about now's the time to cleanse your body of mucus and phlegm. Now's the time to lose weight. It's all going to come out in the spring. If you're on my mailing list, you're just going to get bombarded with this type of uh, information and even little spring detox packages because that's the time to do it. But when the weather starts to become warm in your climate, there's no exact time for these type of treatments. It depends on your weather. Now, of course, you're in the southern hemisphere. It's now maybe the perfect time for you to lose weight, but I assume most of you aren't in the southern hemisphere and you're in the northern hemisphere. So don't worry about the weight loss. Think of some other goals. Stop smoking, stop drinking, stop yelling at your wife, whatever it is. Think of some different goals. Weight loss goal, it's not the time. Okay, so we really kind of covered that subject. Weight loss in the new year, not a good idea. You're going against the grain, against the upstream. You're doing it the hard way. So let's just set that aside. Now, the other subject here is detox. Well, again, I have to admit it was a little bit clickbait putting that word because I don't even like this word detox. It really doesn't mean much to me. People say, "Oh, I want a detox." I go, "What do you mean?" I mean, and they go, "Well, in a detox." I go, "Oh, can you give me some example of what you're talking about?" And sometimes people can't even give me an example. They can't even define what is a detox themselves. So I think this is all coming from social media. You got to just set that aside, and let's just look at it in a more professional light. So what we can talk about, particularly in the winter, we could cleanse some system in the body, like the lungs, for example, can accumulate a lot of mucus and phlegm in the winter time, and that leads to infections. Why a lot of people have colds and infections because they're drinking cold foods, cold ice cream at night. This creates more mucus, more phlegm. They get more mucus, they get more phlegm, then they create the breeding ground for infections, and then they have a cold or ultimately the flu, and could even be pneumonia and could be even life-threatening if they're older, all because they were allowing the mucus to accumulate, which mostly they probably did themselves by having ice cream, yogurt, and cold foods in the winter time, which is never a good idea. So you could say we could detox the lungs. That would be a good choice for many people in the winter. But let's just talk about specific types of detoxification. So we can get this whole social media idea of detox out of your head, and break it down from a professional point of view of what really you could be doing in terms of, cleansing your body. Now, if we go to our website here, our sponsor, herbmanteas.com, and you go under the section called detoxification, you're going to see there's a lot of detox products here. So there's no one detox product. 2, 3, 4, 6, 12 different detox products. So we're going to talk about individual type of detoxifications that you could do and targeted individual detox products that you could use to achieve these goals. Now, you could do something like this in the winter. No, there's no such thing as total detox your body in general terms. You only have organs and systems in the body. And we'll assume that the word detox means cleanse and get rid of any mucus, phlegm, or in Ayurvedic terms, ama. Okay, we'll reduce the toxins in the ama in that system. That's all we're talking about. All we have is systems and organs. So that's why when people say, "Oh, I want a detox," I say, "Well, what system or organ are you talking about?" And they're just watching stuff on social media, do some juicing. You don't want to do cold food, cold drinks, cold juicing, or smoothies in the wintertime. No, you're going to create more mucus, more phlegm. So let's take a look at some of these individualized detox, and maybe you could do one little, a specialized type of cleanse for the system or organ in your body that actually needs it, instead of just doing some social media detox, which juicing or having mushrooms or something. useless like that. Let's take a look at what we got. Let's look at first at the lymph detox. Of course, we all have the lymphatic system. It's kind of like the drainage system in the body, and it's not the circulatory system, but it's improves overall metabolism and detoxes the lymph. You need a lymph detox when you've got like a swelling in the body, swelling into the lymph glands, swelling, in different lymphatic organs in the body. And it's just a pretty strong formula. It also can help a little bit with, belly fat, improve digestion, soften the stool. And it's a very, very powerful formula because it has the gugulu in it, the gugulu resin. So it's almost an overall detox. We could say if there's anything that I have that's close to just kind of an overall body detox, it's this program, but it's still specific to the lymphatic system, but it will help move the colon as well. But there's no herbs in there for the liver, no herbs in there for the lungs. So it's not by any means a complete cleanse. But if there's anything close to that, it would be this lymph detox formula. Let's look at more specialized ones. Here's the blood detox. Now, I have to use the word detox because that's what everybody's, thinking in their mind, but it's basically cleansing your blood, cleansing the blood, supporting liver function. And this is used to help with, almost all skin conditions, acne, hives, itchy skin. It's basically removing toxins from your blood. And you can have a lot of different toxins in your blood. You could have uric acid in your blood. We do have special formulas just for that, which is what, results in gout. So, uric acid is accumulation of a certain type of waste from protein. It creates gout. So there are specialized formulas, Ayurvedic formulas, more powerful than this tea, that remove the uric acid from the blood. This one's kind of more for the skin, but we would call it a blood detox tea. And then there's the kidneys. So again, we call it kidney bladder detox. And this is for improving the flow, particularly if there's swelling. You got swelling in the ankles. This could be blockage in the kidneys. When you go to urinate, you don't get good urination. You're standing there like a man shaking. Where is it coming? Or you're a woman looking down there. It's not coming out. That's kind of like it's not flowing well. And then when you do urinate, there's a lot of dripping. Basically, it's poor flow through the kidneys. Now, it can be kidney failure. For men, it can be prostate. So it can be other conditions. And then if you have urgent urination, burning urination, things like that, it could be an infection like a bladder or urinary tract infection. So, but this is the kind of blockage. It's a very effective formula. Even people who are urinating at night, sometimes if they'll drink this tea in the daytime, it kind of gets the flow going and then they don't urinate at night. I give this out to people when they say, yeah, I'm urinating like 5 times at night and only 3 times in the day. So I said, drink this tea in the day, and then they'll start urinating 4 or 5 times in the day and less at night. And that's what you want. You're just trying to flush all that urine out in the day, cleanse out the whole bladder, kidney, urinary tract pathway, the whole pathway you're flushing out with this. So it's kind of like a flush more than a detox. But again, we use the word detox to accommodate the average consumer who's thinking in that way. It does go on to mention we have UTI tea for infection. We have kidney stone for kidney stones, and we have bladder control tea for this overactive bladder. There are different, kidney and bladder conditions that could be an issue, and those are mentioned down here. But so, if you're having poor flow and you're urinating at night, and you don't have kidney failure or enlarged prostate, then this tea could cleanse out and you have swelling. This kidney bladder detox could be perfect match for you. Now let's keep going. Liver gallbladder tea. It doesn't say the word detox. Oh, there it says, called liver detox, but it's really for gallbladder. This is for people who have sluggish liver. You can have sluggish gallbladder, sluggish liver. When cholesterol gets too high, bile gets too dense, then you start creating gallstones, which is very common. Still, I think 7% of the U.S. population ends up with gallstones. This is mostly coming from the heavy meat, people eating pork fat, hamburgers, fast food, junk food. Then the liver becomes sluggish, the gallbladder becomes starts getting sluggish, then you start forming gallbladder stones, and those are very painful to pass. So you could say that this one is to detox the liver and the gallbladder pathways. See, they're pathways. We're just cleaning pathways in the system. Like the lymph is like cleaning the lymphatic system, which is like the drainage system of the whole body. And you just have to be able to diagnose, and that's my job, to diagnose which system is congested, clogged up. Then I will pick the appropriate product, and I have still a lot more products in these here. I'm just showing you like the ones that have the name detox in it, because that's what we're talking about today. But here we got the dandelion root, the milk thistle root, the yellow dock, the textbook herbs for your liver, and a little coriander and cardamom, because the liver doesn't like hot spices. So this is very, very effective for reducing gallbladders. Again, I have a Ayurvedic gallbladder formula. It's much more powerful than this. And if you had gallbladder stones, I would give you the formula plus the tea. Drink the tea a few times a day, plus take the Ayurvedic gallbladder formula, which is, there it is. See, it's a bundle. See, it's the gallbladder bundle right there. You get them both together. Those bundles are very important. You can see that almost all of these products are bundled with an Ayurvedic product. Here, even this one here, blood detox tea. See, it's bundled with this one that I was talking about earlier, and that is for gout. See, it's a powerful blood cleanser, particularly used for gout, but also all skin conditions. So when you're on the site, always look at the bundle, and you're always better off to get the whole bundle. Get both, because that's what I'm doing. When you come to me, I don't just give you the tea. The teas are weaker than the Ayurvedic formulas, and but the teas are still effective. People like them more. So I just give you both. So I always bundle. Now, if we keep moving here, we look at lungs. Now, if there's any system in the body that, would kind of traditionally need a cleanse in the wintertime, it would be the respiratory system, because it can accumulate the mucus from the cold. And so when you get phlegm and mucus, this tea is very effective. My staff are both drinking it, and this is for a wet, mucusy type of person. Now, it's a very powerful tea. It's kind of more powerful than it looks, because it's got one herb in there, El Champagne. El Champagne was used in 1918 for the Spanish flu, which, of course, didn't start in Spain. And it was, of course, like a type of pneumonia. Everybody panicked. A lot of people died. But it does fight infection and clear mucus. And colt's foot, this is very soothing for the respiratory system, and known to help with coughs. Mullein, probably one of the best herbs for cough. Marshmallow root and licorice are both demulcents. And then there is a little, and to break up more mucus, there's ginger and eucalyptus leaves and black pepper. So it's like a hot mucus clearing formula that really feels good in the wintertime. And of course, there's a bundle that it can come with too, which is the Ayurvedic version, which is even stronger, because all these powders and Ayurvedic formulas are much stronger. So if you came to me and you said, "Oh, I have all this mucus and this phlegm," then I would just give you both. And I would be and then tell you, don't have cold foods, cold drink, eat too much dairy, eat too much yogurt, cheese, ice cream at night. All these things cause more mucus and phlegm. So if there's any system in the body you really want to cleanse during the winter time, it's the respiratory system. Because if you allow your respiratory system to create more mucus and phlegm, which can just come from eating yogurt, cold foods, ice cream, etc., then you're going to get a respiratory infection, or at least the probability of one is much higher. So a little tagline says, "Breathe again." And it's not also a big seller, a lot of people. And there are a couple respiratory tonics, because the Ayurvedic formulas are much more specialized, and this is the one with mucus. So there's another respiratory tonic that says with low mucus. You're still having to have some breathing problems, but it's not heavy. So this is for congestion, excess mucus, chronic snoring. By the way, snoring is one of the early signs of breathing problem. And I've used this to get people off of the CPAP machine, by the way. mucus with a cold, some types of asthma with mucus, bronchitis with a mucus, cough with a mucus, and some I've give this out, this whole package or bundle out to people, and they just get right off the CPAP machine. But most of the time, people are on the CPAP machine. They're creating the problem again. Air conditioners, cold food, cold drink, cold water. They're having smoothies are another big congestive substance that you really shouldn't have at all, particularly the way people mix them, fruits, vegetables, frozen fruit, frozen strawberries, manuka honey, a couple different mushrooms they don't know about, goji berries, and they blend it all up and they think it's healthy and just clogs up their entire system and creates more mucus. Partially because it's cold, but also because that's just terrible food combining and the body's unable to digest it. So let's look at a few more detoxes. There's the smoker's detox, and this, of course, is still cleansing out the liver. We can see the dandelion root in there, which of course is very good for the liver. But we also have these lung herbs like lobelia mullein, and lobelia mullein are for the lungs. The dandelion roots to get some of this toxins out of your liver. Passion flower and brahmis that kind of just relax you a little bit and help to reduce your cravings for smoking. So that's why we call it smoker's detox tea. We get good reviews on it. I never was a smoker, and we also have a smoker's blend, which you can smoke as well instead of your tobacco, and we combine the two together, and that's how I do get people off of cigarettes who come to me, or nicotine, I should say. The tea helps. And then we've got the drinker's detox for those party people who want to detox their liver and reduce alcohol cravings. As you know, I'm an Ayurvedic herbalist and Western herbalist, but we're using a Chinese herb here called kutsu, and kutsu is used for, it's a kind of detoxing herb for the liver, but has a long history of reducing alcohol cravings and reversing the harmful effects of alcohol in the liver. And since this herb is very well known for this, even though this formula is kind of a Western formula of dandelion root, milk thistle root, burdock root, and coriander seed, and we did throw a little bit of reishi mushroom in there too, by the way, which is Chinese. And then we put in this kutsu. The formula is really based on the kutsu. You can see the herbs right there. That, I believe, in the middle is the reishi mushroom. That's the coriander, and that's the burdock over there. So you can see these are nice photos. They're beautiful herbs. I love their herbs. They all look very beautiful to me. So this has been very effective. So if you have alcoholic liver, instead of giving you the liver, and you don't really have gallbladder problems, but you've got your alcoholic liver or your liver issues, your bilirubin, your AST, your ALT, these liver enzymes are high, and we know it's due to alcohol use, then I will give you this tea, not the liver detox tea, because this is made especially for that type of case. And it is also should be bundled with one of these other liver products, but it's not at this time, but I will do that later. And then what else we got? We got the parasite detox tea. Now, that's only if you really have parasites and worms. There's many signs and symptoms of that. But if you've been down to South America, you've been to Southern India, you've been eating raw vegetables in the store, maybe you've got parasites, but you really shouldn't take this tea unless you're sure you do, because it has the black walnut husk in it, which is very strong, and the wormwood. These are very strong anti-parasitical herbs. So that's why I balance them out with some peppermint, some fennel, and even a little stevia to get rid of this super bitter taste. I mean, you drink a cup of this and, those parasites are, running out the back end of you. It's quite powerful. But unfortunately, a lot of people just buy it when they don't have parasites, and these herbs are worse. A lot of people buy wormwood by itself and take it, and there's a known contraindication to doing that, and that is intestinal inflammation. So if you have any inflammation in the colon and you take something like this, you could make it worse. And I've had even patients come to me that were taking wormwood because they thought they had parasites, because they were on social media where somebody told them everybody's got parasites. So they thought this is going to be their cure-all. So they started taking wormwood on their own, which is the common popular herb for it, but it's so nasty you should never take it by itself. But I've had people take it until the point they were bleeding out the colon. It's that nasty and strong. That's why you have to balance it with the fennel seed and slippery elm. The slippery elm is a demulcent herb that coats intestines and, kind of counter affects this kind of strong effect of these two anti-parasitical herbs. And then thyme and clove are also anti-parasitical. They're just not as strong. So it's a very powerful formula. That's why I had to increase the peppermint in it and the fennel in it at one time because it was so strong. People felt like throwing up, but now it's still strong, but at least you don't throw up. I would not buy it unless you confirm that you have parasites. Then if you're not sure, you do the appointment and I'll figure it out for you because there's many signs and symptoms. And I've given a webinar on the subject. So next we've got antifungal candida tea. Again, another one of these things that people think are, everybody has. And unfortunately online, we do sell a lot of it. And I have to roll my eyes because more than likely the people don't even have candida. Again, they're online. They're reading about it. Now, it's very easy to know if you have candida. Just stick your tongue out in the mirror. And if it's got a heavy white film on it, that's the sign of candida. And SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, there's basically the same thing. And you can have yeast overgrowth in other parts of the body. If you read the instructions, it says it can be also used as a mouthwash and even a vaginal douche for yeast overgrowth in the vagina. So, but again, you wouldn't want to really do this unless you really are sure you have it. And unfortunately, a lot of people are just guessing. They have no idea. They just get some guy online that told them everybody's got candida and that's the cause of all your health problems. So I do admit I get a lot of clients who did the tea and they still got gas and bloating and they still have not resolved the candida. That's the calendula flower. It's also another beautiful looking tea. So let's see. I think we were almost summed it up. Okay, well, we got one more. This is we use this toxic binding capsules. This is basically mixing coconut charcoal, burned charcoal, coconut that becomes charcoal with some clay. I think it's like 30% clay, 70% charcoal. So it's mostly charcoal. And this absorbs everything. But mostly we're using it for mold, parasites, and even heavy metal toxicity. So this needs to be taken on an empty stomach. And it can help for this type of charcoal. It can help for like vomiting, food poisoning. You could have food poisoning and take even just one or two capsules and you'll feel it go away right away. In fact, I've had animals that just started looking like they were gagging about ready to die. And I got an eyedropper full of some warm water with a little charcoal in it and just shot it in their mouth because they didn't know what else to do. It just looked like they were gagging on something, dying, and they stopped gagging. So what happens is sometimes these small animals like kittens or puppies, they're eating something wrong, or even their chickens, they're even eating poisonous bugs or something like this. So they can die. If you give them a little charcoal water real quick, you can actually save their lives. And I do keep it in my herbal first aid kit for food poisoning. Even if you're just burping like crazy and you just feel like vomiting, you just take one capsule and you feel the difference. But I mostly use it for heavy metals, mold. When you fight killing these molds and killing these parasites, I often have to pair it with this, binding toxic binding capsules to absorb the dead bacteria. Because if you start taking these parasite herbs, you start taking these mold herbs, which we didn't talk about today, there's a heavy die-off. And these will absorb that die-off so you have less symptoms. Very, very effective. And charcoal's been used for tens of thousands of years for health conditions and upset stomach and food poisoning. It's used for food poisoning, which is why I carry it in my first aid kit. So you could do a specialized cleanse during the winter. If you see that one of those areas you need to cleanse, then you could go to herbmanteas.com. You can use the discount code webinar 10 off, and you could get one of these specialized cleanses. But don't think, oh, I'm going to do a big detox now. No, just wait for spring for some kind of big weight loss detox, because then you can shed some pounds, clear all the systems in the body, and uncongest it. But if you have congestion, we didn't even cover constipation, but there's many products here for constipation. If you're all constipated, for God's sakes, take some herbs to get the bowels moving. But I have 9 different formulas for different levels of constipation, so it's not so simple. And definitely don't just take senna root or one herb like that. This can be too rough on the system and be too strong for 2 people. We have some colon herbs that are mild, some are stronger, some are for dry stools, some are sticky stools, some are for people who are hot, and some are more gentle than the others. There's like different ones. It's a very sophisticated science, cleansing an human organ. And there's no such thing as, okay, take this and this is going to cleanse your organ. And that's unfortunately what you get online. And a lot of people make a lot of mistakes and even can end up with vomiting or diarrhea in this case. So you definitely want to keep the bowels moving all year round. Doesn't matter whether it's winter or summer. And after I spoke about some of these specialized cleansing formulas, if one of those really rings a bell, like, oh, that's me, then great, do that during the wintertime. But don't think of a complete detox. Don't think of a winter weight loss plan. Just stop the bad habits, snacking on nuts, eating late at night, having overeating, these basic things like this, and allow your body just to stay healthy and warm and infection free during the winter. Your focus during the winter should not be weight loss. It should be building immunity and staying stronger. And if you don't eat and you fast too much and you have a bunch of smoothies, then you're not going to have good immunity in the winter time. Fasting, again, should be done during the warmer months, during the summer. And in fact, during the winter time, you often need more animal protein, more heavier foods. I'm mostly a vegetarian, but when the weather's really cold, I really feel much better having, of course, warm foods, hot foods, chicken soup, but I feel like, more fish and more animal protein during the winter when it's particularly freezing cold outside and I got to go out there, shovel horse manure, take care of my horse, take care of my chicken, take care of my ducks, and just, even be working outside in freezing temperature. I sure don't feel like doing that after a smoothie or even even just salad. I mean, my God, give me a nice big hot warm meal first, and then I go outside and work. So, you have to listen to your body, not social media. And you can see that I do try to keep repeating that to everybody because all of my patients are making the same mistake. Everyone, old ones, new ones, they're spending months, even years researching on social media, doing all kinds of crazy stuff before they come to me. So please, let's be more professional, come to a professional, think more, professionally in your approach to your health and really avoid some of this, oh, let's detox generalization or, things that we read or watch online. I hope that helped you better understand how to treat your body and care for your body during the health, but during the winter time. But again, I want to repeat, you should be doing immune boosting herbs. I've already done webinars on it. I've already sent promotions out for cold and flu tea, Ayurvedic immune tea, immune formulas. I've already been promoting these for months. And that's why you want to be taking them so you don't get sick during the winter. That should be your main goal, not losing weight. In fact, you need a few extra pounds because if you do get infection, a flu, or pandemic comes rolling around again, and you catch an infection and you have the flu, then when you have the flu, you shouldn't be eating. You should be fasting. And resting. And if you don't have any extra weight, you're going to be doomed. Even elderly people, if they're underweight and they get an infection, they could die. So you don't want to be skinny during the winter time. You want to stay healthy and strong and warm and keep your immunity high so you don't get sick. And if you do, you've got a little bit of strength and extra body weight to get yourself through that infection period because it's not healthy to be eating when you have the flu. You should just fast and have chicken soup, things like that. All right. I hope this helps you understand how to take care of your body during the winter and the new year, and why you don't even want to bother trying to lose weight. And don't think in crazy general terms of detoxing. Definitely not some smoothie juicing detox in the wintertime. Save it for the spring. We'll see you in the spring, and then we'll do your spring detox, and we'll help you lose weight then. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.